A very warm welcome to the Portimão Algarve International Circuit, ladies and gentlemen, because we are raring to go for the European Le Mans Series qualifying. Thank you for sticking with us, because these groups of sessions should have started a little while ago, but with one thing and another, we are somewhat behind the scheduled time. And it's meant quite a busy few hours for Graham Goodwin, who sits there, and me, Johnny Palmer, who sits here. Already a car off track, which is the Grid Motorsport by TF Aston Martin on cold tyres.
It's Martin Berry, because it is, of course, the bronze drivers that take part in these quick-fire 15-minute qualifying sessions. That will be no help at all. So what happened here? See, just turned in, got the power a little too early, and had to do a little bit of rallycross. No harm, no foul, other than rather filthy set of good years now. 11 cars, Johnny, for this final qualifying session of this inaugural LMGT3 class. And astonishingly, as we come to this session, 9 of the 11 cars mathematically can still be champion. It's a pretty big stretch for 2 or 3 of them.
Sure.
And that number, I'm sure, will come down by the end of the 15 minutes. But yes, that is some season. 9 out of 11 cars. This is the car that leads the championship standings. It doesn't lead the championship points. It's equal on points with the Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin, but by dint of 2 race wins, the last 2 race wins for Kessel Racing, the 57 car in the colours of Car Guy from Japan leads the way.
Because the Valentin Haskell, Casper Stevenson, Derek de Boer, Aston Martin number 59 is yet to win a race, but they're still equal on points with the double race winner last time out. And then you've got the Ricardo Pera, Davide Rigon and Mike Wainwright, 86 GR Racing, Ferrari, and I don't think that's won a race yet either. No, it hasn't. So this amazing scenario where we've got, well, 3 of the top 4 teams, might maybe be 4 of the top 5 teams, and there's not a race win anywhere to be seen, because seemingly some teams have won a race and then just had a nightmare season after that. Case in point, Formula Racing winning the first round in Barcelona. Their best result after that has been a 3rd, and then kind of nowhere, lower end of the top 10.
We'll talk about nightmares. Look at this car. You'd barely believe that was the same car, would you? Number 60 car from Proton Competition, Claudio Schiavone at the wheel of this car. And if you're watching the Mugello race, you've seen this car reduce pretty much to its component parts after a clash with, well, this car, yes, the number 85 car from Iron Dames. It's, how can I put this? The ownership family is somewhat similar.
Entirely so. There are 2 Porsches in the entry, and they're run effectively out of the same stable. So yes, but the 60 car, to make the point, is the same chassis as was crashed at Mugello.
I think so.
Right.
I believe so. But either way, we're back to fully fledged 11 car field. There is Rahel Fry, Michelle Gatting watching Sarah Bovey, who is about to complete her first flying lap. It's the bronze drivers, as we said, aboard these 11 cars, Johnny. Johnny Lawson for Formula Racing in the 50 cars. Sarah Bovey puts in a 1:43.793, the first car to complete a lap. Derek de Boer in that Racing Spirit Le Mans number 59 car, the car in title contention, equal on points, 64 points in the 59. Johnny Lawson puts in a 1:46.478. Will be driving just with his son Conrad this weekend, with Nick Nielsen on duty with the Ferrari factory team at Imola today, tomorrow, as part of Ferrari's Finale Mondiale, and some spectacular pictorial plans for their Works 499Ps. Martin Berry, we just saw have a bit quick rotation. He's back up to running. This is Derek de Boer in the 59. Takeshi Kimura, we've talked about already. He leads the championship in the 57 car from the Swiss team Kessel Racing. Duncan Cameron, the Spirit of Race 55. Charlie Samani in the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari. Claudio Schiavone mentioned in that 60, the orange and black Porsche. Hiroshi Hamaguchi, we've not yet seen the bright green Iron Lynx Lamborghini. Scott Noble in the JMW Motorsport Ferrari, and completing the field numerically, Mike Wainwright in the black and very orange GR Racing Ferrari, they too in title contention.
There's Rahel Fry again. Very happy to see Sarah Bovey's name appear at the top of the charts early on in the session. A 1:43.7 is the marker set by the Belgian. Derek de Boer 2 seconds adrift, but he's just finding his feet in the early stages of this session and assessing what state the track is in after quite a lot of running already today. And Bovey goes even quicker, 1:42.4, so now 3.5 seconds quicker than de Boer's early effort.
Yeah, putting a marker on this session. Still 9.5 minutes to go though, and Derek de Boer claws back a second and a half of that deficit, now 1.9 seconds back, but Johnny Lawson goes even quicker. It's 1.2 seconds back from Sarah Bovey. So it's Iron Dames, Formula Racing, Racing Spirit Le Mans and Kessel Racing, your top 4.
And to take a look back at pole position set already this year, Sarah Bovey had a storming start to her season with 3 out of 3. But then the 63 crew of Hiroshi Hamaguchi had a pole in Spa, and it was the 59 Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin with a very pleasing pole position for Derek de Boer. He was smiling from ear to ear in Italy, having achieved that and extending the championship lead, as was the case at the time. Now, though, beginning this round second, but level on points. So it could be either of those teams that win the title this year, but it could be some others as well.
Well, with what we've seen with incident and drama as well as fantastic racing in this first year of LMGT3, I'm not going to quite say literally anything could happen, but you know what? It pretty much could,
yeah,
and pretty much will.
Within the confines of mathematics, you know, if you're out of it, you're out of it. Sadly, for instance, the 60 Proton competition crew are not going to win the title, but there are so many that potentially can.
Into the pits after a stellar few laps from Sarah Bovey. It's a 1:42.408. She's carved in stone and basically thrown down the gauntlet to everybody else to have a crack at. Here is Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Derek de Boer also on pit lane. He now sits 4th quickest because Charlie Samani's gone up to 3rd quickest. Johnny Lawson closes the gap again. It's now a second and a tiny bit of change off Sarah Bovey. So good performance here from Johnny Lawson. There is the 59 car up on the Jackson, getting a new set of Goodyears. So Bovey, Lawson, Berry 3rd now. So that's a good recovery there from the other Aston Martin driver, Kimura, Cameron, Samani, de Boer, Wainwright, Hamaguchi, Schiavone and Scott Noble.
And here is Hiroshi Hamaguchi with that pole, as mentioned in Spa-Francorchamps. Sadly, then a non-finish in the race. And sometimes that can be the way of things. Think back to Barcelona with that bizarre retirement for Iron Dames in April. They'd taken pole position and were storming to a race victory when a component got wedged in the innards of that Porsche for Michelle Gatting as she was about to leave pit road.
Staggering, really, wasn't it? Johnny Lawson on the quick lap as we watched that. That was a 4th place in the order, up from 9th through Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Another improvement from Duncan Cameron as well. Derek de Boer and Sarah Bovey back out into the fray. Takeshi Kimura, meanwhile, lost both of his quick laps and he tumbles back down to 11th for track limits.
Yeah, so snakes and ladders for 1 or 2 out there. If you're on a flyer, make sure you stay between those white lines. And track limits are a lot more important in a qualifying session compared to the lives you're granted in a race. But they are, even in the race, they're per driver. So if a bronze starts the race, then gets out, then back in again, the track limit infringements that starting driver picked up still carry over into future stints. So that's something to be mindful of during the race as well. Here's Claudia Schiavone through that rapid left-hander at turn 12 and up to the top shelf of the Portimão circuit, 13 and 14.
So is this the last we're going to see of the beautiful Burgundy Formula Racing effort? Watch for next steps in Conrad Lawson's career. So Johnny Lawson has enjoyed having this season with his son alongside. Previous GTE champion, of course, in the European Le Mans Series a decade ago, back in the LMGT3 era. Larison currently sitting in second place. Here comes Martin Berry in his Grid Motorsport by TF 97 Aston Martin. Fourth quickest at the moment, 1.5 seconds off.
And if you're talking about difficult starts to a season's campaign, remember about what happened to the 97 car. They had to get a spare in after writing off the original at Barcelona. Now running 5th in the championship though, 50 points, and only trailing by 14 to the two teams that are level on points at the sharp end. So you can't discount them. And again, the line on the graph is encouraging for the 97 car, with a second place last time out, a couple of 5th place finishes as well in Imola and in Spa.
Duncan Cameron sitting pretty in 3rd place here. That car finished its Mugello race weekend, missing a front corner after a double hit issue with an LMP2 car. Been luckless pretty much this year. Magnet for trouble at times, it seems, the number 55 car.
57 with a couple of laps deleted as well, those at turn 15.
Yeah, climbing back up the order now to Takeshi Kimura, back up to 8th from 11th. Bovey back out and on a warm-up lap. There's some heat back in the Goodyear tyres. Remember, no tyre warmers in any class in the European Le Mans Series. 3 minutes to go, so there's time for improvement here for these drivers. Is there going to be the opportunity to do it? Kessel Racing can make progress. Could they complete an absolutely unique double? Winners of the car they built, the winner of the first ever GT3 race in 2006. Ferrari 430, they built 110 of those cars in the early years of GT3. Can they bookend this era with the first ever LMGT3 title in the European Le Mans Series? A wholly different Ferrari. The 2006 Ferrari 430, Johnny, pretty much a breathed upon road car.
Yes.
And you look at a 296 GT3 and it's anything but that.
Yeah. Double the power of those older cars.
Easily.
About that, and then some. Here's the 59, co-championship leader at the top of the hill through turns 9 and 10, or 10 and 11, and then this plummet down through 12, and back up the other side for Derek De Boer.
It's a much better lap for Derek De Boer. He's sitting in 7th at the moment, but he can improve, and improve dramatically here. Could trouble the first couple of rows with this lap.
Yeah, so 2 PBs, but Charlie Samani's improving as well, and Martin Berry in his number 97 Aston Martin, looking at a second row start for the other Aston in the entry. But how far can the 59 car climb? Have to wait for the line, and he will cross it now. Third fastest for Derek De Boer.
Excellent lap from Derek De Boer. He's looking onwards and upwards in his GT racing career.
Also, Claudio Schiavone with improvement, a 144.961. So that was the slightly ironic applause, perhaps.
I think he shaved a second.
Okay.
I think he shaved a second there. They're pleased with that.
Yeah.
You take... It's all about setting your own targets and beating them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Claudio Schiavone will tell you to your face, I'm not the quickest guy out there, but I do love to race, I do love to run, and I do love to set my own targets and beat them.
But one of the main guys applauding that was Matteo Cressoni, standing in the middle, because he's going to be racing with Claudio this weekend and wants his bronze to be happy. He wants his bronze to be improving all the time. So yes, they were smiling whilst they were applauding, but it was due support. Andrea Piccini in the garage there as well. I noticed Sarah Bovey leapfrogging through turn 1 there, very similar to how Chu Ting Cho did earlier on in the day in his Ligier, JSP4, part of the European series, and we joked that he might have even been picked up on some air traffic control radar on that situation. Well, Sarah Bovey gave it a good go.
She did.
I'm not sure she got all 4 tyres off the ground.
Track limits, checkered flag out. Who can improve here? There are good laps underway from Johnny Lawson here. Derek De Boer, their second and third quickest. Also Martin Berry. Is it going to trouble pole? No, it's been an extraordinary gap here. I can't remember the last time we had a lead gap in a qualifying session in a GT class by more than a second. It might still end that way. Derek De Boer third as he crosses the line to complete his session. It's just under a second. Johnny Lawson goes second place, and it's just over a second as Martin Berry snatches third place. And at the moment, it's an all Aston Martin second row.
So on those laps, Hamaguchi improved to 5th, De Boer 4th, Johnny Lawson goes second, and Martin Berry to 3rd. So it was all done very, very late on there.
Still got Duncan Cameron on a pretty good lap here.
Yeah.
And he can improve here.
Wainwright to the pit lane. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Within the space of about 15 seconds, 4 cars all improving. Very typical of a bronze-only session. Waiting for Duncan Cameron then to appear.
He won't improve his track limits, I think, on this lap. Or is it on this lap? That was the previous lap.
Yeah, so there's still scope to, if he stays on the racetrack, waiting for the 55 to appear in the next few moments. And over the safety car line he will go. Does he take to the pit road, or does he stay on the racetrack? He does stay on the racetrack, but it's not an improvement as it turns out. 144.6 for Takeshi Kimura in the 57 car, so he will start from 9th place as the just championship leading car.
Wow, well, that sets the scene for the start of the race, but it's 4 hours long to complete this season. Iron Dames, Sarah Bovey, the 85 car, 142.408, smidge under a second clear of Johnny Lawson's 50 Formula Racing car. The Porsche Ferrari duel goes into another era. 97 and 59, Grid Motorsport by TF and Racing Spirit Le Mans, Martin Berry and Derek De Boer make it all Aston second row. Let's go down to Steph in the pit lane.
I am joined by Michelle Gatting, co-driver of the number 85 Iron Dames, where your teammate Sarah Bovey just put it on pole once more this season, and it's a great way to start this season finale for you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she did amazing. I think we have proven already in practice that the car is very fast, and she just proved it once again. I mean, we have showed it before. It's not at all done yet. I mean, starting P1, it's cool to say, but it doesn't mean anything for tomorrow. So we have to try and see if we can finish up there. But I think for this weekend, we really, really have a strong package, and I hope that things will go our way.
Perfect. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So LMGT3 is done, and we're playing catch-up on the timetable after that long delay for earlier barrier repairs and earlier session, and outrumble the 10 LMP3 cars in this field. LMP3, it's not necessarily the bronze drivers, and I don't think in any case it will be here. So this is the final European Le Mans Series LMP3 qualifying session with Nissan V8 power. I'll let you know who is aboard these cars once we've got them all out there. As they leave, oh, there's a spin on the outlap for the number 4 car, Deco Engineering from Wyatt Brigacek. So the Duquesne has spun out at turn 4. So Brigacek it is in the number 4 car, RRM sports car. This is their far less well-placed car. Bailey Voisin in the number 5 car. Team Virage's number 8, Gillian Henrion chasing that 3rd consecutive step on the ladder. Adam Ali in your International's number 11 car, that team chasing their 250th race win. RRM Sports Championship contending number 15 car, Gail Julien aboard that car. WTM by Rinaldi Racing, Oscar Tuño aboard the number 12 Duquesne. The 31 for Racing Spirit Le Mans in the hands of Antoine Duquin. Jean-Baptiste Lehay again in command of the 35 Ultimate car, which with Francois Heriot back aboard completes 6 races, 6 different bronze drivers this season. Pedro Perino we've seen already in action in the Ligier European Series this afternoon, and he's aboard the number 88 Inter-Europol competition car, and we wait for confirmation of which of the 2 driver squad usually would be Manuel Espirito Santo aboard the number 17 Cool Racing car. On board with Guillaume Henrion, as these cars are getting back up to speed. It is indeed Manuel Espirito Santo, so it's the quick guys galore in these 10 cars. The only early drama, that spin on the outlet from Wyatt Brikacek, recovered, and he is continuing. And that's not damaged in any way his Michelin tyres. In the European Le Mans Series, LMP3 uniquely Michelin tyred. Goodyear shod LMP2, LMP2 Pro Am and the LMGT3s we've just seen. 12 minutes to go, and we're about to see the first flying laps emerge from this 10-car field, Johnny Palmer.
Yeah, this is where it gets very special, and although there's been some fluctuation with certain teams as to their selected qualifying driver, I think when we get to this point of the season, everybody knows who they're going to plug in. Gillian Henrion, no surprise to see him at the wheel of the number 8 car, and not quite leading the way. The 12's about to cross the line now to begin its first meaningful run, and Manuel Espirito Santo, as you've mentioned, coming back down pit road, 17. But 35, Jean-Baptiste Le Hay, and that's possibly a surprise. Mathieu is here this weekend, isn't he?
I think didn't he qualify last time out as well? I think we had Jean-Baptiste last time as well.
I can check on that. I always like to compare and contrast the different qualifying drivers.
So he's the first to complete a flying lap. It's a 1:41.675 is the marker for the rest. It will get quicker. 3 cars, I believe, in contention for the title.
I'll also check that in a second as well, but you're right, Jean-Baptiste Le Hay qualified in Mugello, so...
And 2 points separate the top 3.
OK. Well, it's always close in this division as well, and often quite difficult to read an LMP3 race, purely because they've got to come in and serve 2 mandatory pit stops of a determined time. Gaël Julien got the bump off the curb there, which wasn't ideal, but it was neatly controlled. And he'll head across the line with a decent first effort, 1:39.5 to take him faster than everybody else, but 1 or 2 others just feeling their way into this session.
Yeah, there are going to be improvements available here. Gaël Julien, been quite a start, put this team into contention, has kept this team in contention with his pace against the bronze consistency of his teammates. Nick Adcock, Michael Jensen.
Needless to say, you're spot on with those 3 teams that are in contention. So number 11 Euro International, who lead by a point over the 8 crew number of Team Virage, who were winners last time out, and the 15 of RLRM Sport, Gaël Julien, we've already mentioned. So 83, 82 and 81 points.
Staggering. 5 races in, 2 points between the 3 cars with completely different driving crews.
And they've all won at least 1 race. The 11 crew have won actually twice, both in Imola and Spa-Francorchamps. And remember, they've been doing the whole season with just 2 drivers, Matthew Richard Bell and Adam Ali.
Jean-Baptiste Le Hay, first man into the 1:38, 9 minutes to go. He's got 4/10 of a second on Bailey Voisin. It's a 1:38.877, but the timing screen is lighting up just about every single sector time on the screen, bar 1 is either blue for a personal improvement or purple for an overall best.
Gillian Henrion with a good time there to slot into 2nd position, 1:38.9, but Gaël Julien back across the line to improve again, 1:38.726. He actually matches time there. I know it goes 0-0 because he becomes the fastest, but the gap is 0.151 of a second. Now yellow flags are out at turn 3, and if somebody's in the gravel there, that might be a problem. It's a double waved yellow, but it's a continue, so whichever car that was might well have been the 8 car of Gillian Henrion.
I think it is. It is the 8 car. He's been around.
Big spin that, but thankfully not into the gravel. So
Has continued.
Was able to carry on from that point. The 17 we've got on our graphic is to reference Manuel Espirito Santo's current lap, but not this car. A 9th place for Espirito Santo, who's had pole positions already this year. Now Jean-Baptiste Lehey is quickest for Ultimate. 35 going faster by 98 thousandths of a second from Oscar Tunio in number 12 for WTM.
It's a 10th up on Oscar Tunio. And then a further 2 tenths back. Gail Julien and Antoine Decan almost welded together on time. Cool Racing, Ultimate, WTM by Rinaldi, and then the first of our title contenders, RLM Sport.
New name at the top is Manuel Espirito Santo in car number 17, so that's another reason why we were homing in on that particular run through the various sectors, and it's 0.9 of a second, so a huge leap ahead into the 137s we go, and that is a bit more like it. To compare, we'll just dig out the equivalent fastest time for Portimão within LMP3 to see whether we're likely to go any faster than that this year.
Very different conditions this year.
Oh, that's a good point. So there's pointless looking at that last year. We'll go 2 years ago, I suppose. Because again, we were in the 148s in 2023.
Crossing the line now to complete that lap. And there's a big lock up there from the Interpol car, the 88 car, but gets away with that. And a further lock up from the 31 racing, the Racing Spirit Le Mans car. Bailey Voisin in 8th spot. This number 5 crew just have not had a great year this year. Not been happy with the car they've had underneath them.
In 2022, some bloke called Malte Jakobsen
Never heard of him.
pole time. I don't know where he's gone after that. 1:37.1 was his time on that day.
That's 1:47.49 is pretty good then.
Right in the ballpark, as we've become used to for LMP3 pace. As a brief glimpse again of Gael Julien.
Oscar Tunio closes the gap to 7 tenths, while Bricacek improves. He's 8 tenths back. Jean-Baptiste Lehey still that 9.5 tenths. So we've got 4 now within a single second. 5.5 minutes to go. There's still pace coming here, Johnny, from multiple drivers.
I'll just correct that, actually. That was the Bailey Voisin RLR car. So similar colour scheme and identical team to Gael Julien in the number 15. Bailey's best time so far good enough for 8th position. We've not seen Julien Henrion at his 4 yet. Gael Julien finds another improvement. 15th, car 15 in 5th position. But still waiting for Julien Henrion to get out of those bottom 2 positions.
Adam Ali, meanwhile, 10th fastest, and I wonder whether the wily old fox that is Antonio Ferrari is looking after tyres in this session.
Yep.
I can tell you, by the way, that Antonio tells me at 68 years old, this will be his final race as the long-serving Euro International lollipop man.
Oh, no. Oh, I thought you were going to go further than that.
No.
Right, but a big duty, a very important duty of operating the lollipop.
Indeed.
So this race meeting will be the last of quite a few things in the history of sports car racing.
It is. All sorts kicking around. We're not going to hear this soundtrack next year.
No.
White Bricacek 6 tenths back now in the DCAR engineering car. They're beginning to get their hands around the challenge from Manuel Espirito Santo, but that was a mighty effort from him.
Yeah, so 0.6 of a second clear of Wyatt Bricacek, as he pointed out to us in Mugello was the correct way. We had not got a clue. I've been calling him Bricacek for years. Bricacek, he said. Oh, OK, we'll try and correct that. And I've remembered just about. Sharing with Alexander Maxwell again. And that car second fastest. Also, Guilherme Oliveira here this weekend at his home race.
Absolutely. Manuel Espirito Santo is tired of people just shaving tenths off his near full second lead, and he puts in a purple first sector.
Julien Henrion desperate for just some space, I think, unless that's a problem for the number 8 car. He had a spin earlier on. He's going too slowly for that to be trying to buy himself space, so it's going to be pit lane for the 8 car. I had some concerns about Julien Henrion and not able to get higher than 9th position. So that's quite some change in form after a very good last round in Mugello, when Henrion and Bernardo Pinheiro and Julien Gerbi were victorious by 0.9 of a second.
Watching Oscar Tunjo attack this lap at the moment. There is Milton Jakobsen, by the way, in the Cool Racing squad. So at the moment, Manuel Espirito Santo not quite bettering his best efforts last time around here. That's a clean sweep of pole positions 2 years ago for the young Dane. Now in LMP2 here, and next year a full season Peugeot factory hypercar driver. Espirito Santo pits the car. Watching Pedro Perino, he's on a quick lap right now.
The 88, there he is, sweeping through Craig Jones' corner and popping up to the top at Portimão.
Oscar Tunjo quick as well at the moment. Could be a big improvement available there for the WTM Rinaldi man, but I don't think pole position is within his grasp. Possibly an improvement to the front row, because Rikarczyk, I can do it too.
Very good.
He's pitted the number 14 car engineering car. Tunjo crosses the line, and it is no improvement. Minute and a half to go, and are we done in terms of the major changes? The one car that's out there that seems to still have something in the locker might be Gaël Julien, yes, in the number 15 RLR car.
Yeah, Julien, 6th position. We may expect a little more than that usually, certainly in the top half of the 10-car entry in LMP3. So it's a personal best through sector 1. 31.8 is still pretty good through sector 2, although he has been faster through that part of the circuit that runs from the braking area of turn 5 to the top of the hill at Portimão.
We've seen, though, throughout this season, third sectors bleeding speed away with cars on slightly more tired rubber.
Good point.
And it seems to be the case again here. Let's have a look at what Gaël Julien can squeeze out from what remains of his qualifying run here. He's deep into sector 3. And this is Bailey Voisin running wide at turn 1, and that will be that lap done. Julien completes the lap, does not improve. Lost something over half a second in the final sector. I think we may be close to being done unless Oscar Tunjo can do something.
Oscar is up through the middle sector. Needs to find 4/10 though, and decides not to even try, because clearly the Delta was suggesting that wouldn't be the case. No point in putting more wear and tear on the tyres. These are tyres that you have to then use again in the race, but you've also had to use them through the course of free practice as well. There is Wyatt Rikarczyk then, after his decent run so far. Second fastest, Manuel Espirito Santo quicker by 0.6 of a second, but it does look like it's going to be a front row start for second position for DKR Engineering, and alongside Manuel Espirito Santo.
Yeah, Oscar Tunjo at the moment third, and I think we'll stay there. There's an improvement in time, but stays fourth. Pedro Perino for Inter-Europol competition. That should complete the second row, and that will complete the second row, because the other 3 cars that are out there on track have all lifted. It is going to be pole position for Cool Racing's number 17 car. Cool Racing will not retain the title, but go out today on a high. Add another stat to the book for another team that has learned well in LMP3, and that's carried through into their climb up the ladder into LMP2. Nicolas Pierre in the background there.
It's Manuel Espirito Santo's 3rd pole of the year, so that's the most of anybody. The other car that ran them close was the 15 of Gaël Julien, who managed a pole in France and in Belgium. But Barcelona, last time at Mugello, and now here in Portimão, Manuel Espirito Santo will end the year with 3 pole positions.
Remember, it is a 2 driver effort here for Cool Racing. They're going hunting for a race win to finish their season on a high. They can't retain their title, but they're going to try and do the next best thing, which is go away with the silverware. That's LMP3, Johnny. And now, with the classification there in LMP3, 137.498, a conclusive pole position, the second conclusive pole position in the second class we've seen over Wyatt Prokacek in the second fastest car in the session, DKR Engineering's Duquesne, and then the second Duquesne in the field, the 12 car with WTM by Rinaldi Racing, just around a tenth of a second further back. So 7 tenths across the top two, 6 tenths across the top two. But it was a stellar performance there for Manuel Espirito Santo.
Yeah, you'd have him in your team purely for his qualification ability, but he's also a mean racer as well when he does get the bit between his teeth to be behind the wheel for an hour or possibly a little bit more. On fuel, LMP3 cars can generally do an hour. Here's Steph Wentworth with reaction.
I'm joined by the man who has just put it on pole for the final race of the season, Manuel Espirito Santo of the number 17 at Cool Racing. Congratulations again. You've been fantastic throughout qualifying all season.
Thank you. I'm really happy to have back-to-back poles, and especially here at my home track, I'm really happy, especially with the gap we had. So it was just probably went perfect. The lap was perfect. Honestly, I didn't expect that lap to be that good, to be honest.
Home race for you as well?
Yeah, I'm super happy for me and my teammates. Both our home races, so hopefully we can finish the job tomorrow.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to have the pressure off, I would guess, knowing that they're not in the fight for the title. They'd like to be, but you can approach this race totally as a one-off and hope to get the 25 points that are on offer. His teammate, Miguel Cristobal, they're also doing the race just with the two of them.
They are first time, I think, officially at least, for Cool Racing. And one quick moment as we've got the 8 LMP2 Pro-Am cars on circuit now. These are the bronze drivers and off the circuit, and there's that into really get through the gravel for Rodrigo Sales, one of our title contenders. That was a bit of a fumble there from Rodrigo. Just a quick moment to say that was a lovely family moment there with, obviously, I'm pretty certain that's mum and dad. Young elite athletes and racing drivers are amongst them. It's a hell of a journey, and you need the support network, and it's great to see they can celebrate that moment on home ground.
Yeah, terrific stuff. They're missing Cedric Ultramar this weekend, normally joining the two Portuguese, and that is, as you point out, the first round that has been the case. They didn't get the result they wanted from last time out, and Manuel Espirito Santo's hard work in Mugello. In LMP2 Pro-Am, though, it's a 2-point gap between 83 AF Corsa and the 29 Richard Mille by TDS car, the car that just ran off the track at turn 5, and a further 6 points back, Algarve Pro Racing's number 20 machine. So still plenty in the fight.
And in fact, the 4th place car, Proton Competitions number 77, can still do it. It's more mathematical than competitive at this stage for that effort, but it is super close again at the top, and it could be another point closer if things go the way of either of those chasing 3 cars.
Particularly bearing in mind that, again, we talked about the qualification specialist in LMP3. Well, there's no doubt who it is in LMP2 Pro-Am, and that is Giorgio Roda, who has had 4 poles out of 5 so far. That's a much better record than that bloke, Gavin Oliver, that we were talking about earlier on in the day. How many Petit Le Mans has he not won? 14?
14 failures to win.
It's only 1 pole position that Giorgio Roda has not managed to get to date.
Well, we're going to have 4 hours to talk about the win ratio of Oliver Gavin.
Well, we've already had about 3 hours today.
With 12 minutes left in this session, as we wait for the first of these 8 Oreca 07s, all powered, of course, by the 4.2 litre Gibson V8 engine, the sound of sports car racing for the better part of a decade, this engine, and it continues on for a few more years to come yet. So, is it going to be the established qualifying star in this class, or is it going to be an attack by 1 or 2 who've been nibbling away at that dominance? 11.5 minutes to go, and the first lap time to be offered up. To the top goes Crichton and Tunis in the Algarve Pro Racing car. He's the first man under 140, a 138.987. John Falb and Andres Latour have also completed a quick lap. But there's much, much more to come. And I think you're going to see a much quicker time very soon.
This is a bronze-only session. You have to have a bronze in your driver combo if you're in LMP2 Pro-Am. It's what makes you a Pro-Am car at the end of the day. And very similar to LMGT3 qualifying, the bronze has the responsibility of putting the car as high up on the grid as you can. 138.9, 139.1. These times are going to tumble as well, because they always do in a bronze session.
You're going to see them coming down to the 36 and 35s very soon. I think the first to do that is likely to be Giorgio Roda, but others are going to be in that bracket as well, including Rodrigo Sales, I'm sure. Crichton and Tunis, boy oh boy, as the Greek driver, found a niche here. He's loving his time in LMP2. After struggling a little bit, I felt, in GTE AM in its final year, he's loving these cars. Giorgio Roda, 135.2. That's the marker, 10 minutes to go.
So he brings the gap down to, or rather extends it, if you like, back to the second placed effort of Crichton Lendudis to over 3.5 seconds. It's nearly 3.7 in fact, but Roda is just one about the quickest qualifying drivers out there. John Falb though enjoys running him close and gets within 0.6 of a second. Rodrigo Sales meanwhile having to put that outlap moment firmly from his mind, and he could do that by going top, and that's exactly what he does by almost a full second.
Indeed. So a response from Rodrigo Sales to a 135.2 is a 134.3, but Roda already deep into his response to his own time. Georgios Kolovos going very well again in third place here. He's 1.2 seconds off on his second start at LMP2. And we've got 1, 2, 3 drivers up at the moment on Sales's provisional pole time after their current Sector 1. Roda is up, almost by a second after Sector 2. John Falb is up. Francois Perrodo is up. 9 minutes to go.
Giorgio Roda beautifully drifting the car out of turn 13. That's not going to work well in the race because you'll chew through your tyres, but in a qualifying format, and it's worked for him, he now goes back to the top by half a second. We're into the high 133s already. Well, certainly Roda is. Others now seemingly in a bit of a different league, although Francois Perrodo trying to plug that gap, and he goes into a low 134. It's a 34.2 to be within 3.5 tenths of Roda's time.
Yeah, Francois not been in the best of qualifying form this season, but that's a good response. 134.0 puts him onto the front row of the class with 8 minutes to go.
Well, it did, and then John Falb crossed the line and rather punted Perrodo back to third position. The American, as now Rodrigo Sales goes top again by 97 thousandths of a second. Sales, Roda, Falb and Perrodo, now the new order.
Well, we said we might see a couple of emerging bronze talents here. Rodrigo Sales has been one of them lately. All of a sudden, Roda's next lap track limits. He won't improve on this one. Can Sales make this one stick and stick another one in?
Well, everybody down
Charlie
in the
Samani.
team, very, very happy with their driver Francois Perrodo from the AF Corsa camp.
Perrodo, after second sector here, is up on the pole time. Perrodo is challenging here.
Yeah.
Falb's in the groove, Perrodo's in the groove, Roda's in the groove, Sales is in the groove. 0.451 of a second between the four of them. Cracking stuff. That might just cramp the style of Rodrigo Sales.
So where is the next best time going to come from? Rather suggesting that it might be Perrodo. No, he completed the lap on 34.0.
Sales's lap was ruined there with came across Andres Latour. He was 3 tenths up on his provisional pole time, and that lap is ashes.
Okay. So he did a personal best through sector 1, an absolute best through sector 2, but we're not expecting this to be extended through 3.
No, big lift.
Because of the lift, and 3.6 seconds he ended up losing.
But Giorgio Roda is just barely up. He's 49 thousandths of a second up. John Falb is 29 thousandths second up. Francois Perrodo, before he just lost it for track limits, was 1,000th of a second up on his first sector.
So Perrodo is going to have to find another lap, but he's got 6 minutes in order to do that. We're lapping at just over 90 seconds a lap, 93, 94 seconds. And surely some improvement again from Rodrigo Sales on this one as well. He's quicker than everybody else, gone 0.2 of a second quicker through the first sector alone.
Wow, cracking session here in LMP2 Pro-Am. Great to see the bronze drivers duking it out.
So who's going to be the first of them across the line? Roda goes through
and top
is quicker than Sales, so 0.147 of a second is the gap. Next across the line, it will be Perrodo, and Perrodo goes, stays 4th.
Track limits on that lap.
Oh, of course, yeah. So then Rodrigo Sales and John Falb we're now waiting for, but Falb not able to improve. A tricky final sector there. He's only 0.2 of a second off Roda's effort, though.
Pretty certain the 29 car stumbled over the number 3 car again.
They are in close contention, and Sales is trying to slow sufficiently to allow the number 3 car away into the distance. That's Andres Latour. So Sales up through the first sector, but and goes. Did he go second with that, Sales?
That's no improvement.
No, because it was a massive drop-off, but there was a change. So what happened there?
It's an improvement from Falb in terms of his first sector time. It's the change, I think, with Daniel Schneider going ahead of Andres Latour. No, it wasn't, because he's got track limits on that. Georgios Kolovos improves.
I thought Falb had dropped down beneath Sales. It was almost as if Falb had had a lap taken from him. Daniel Schneider moves up to 5th position in the 21.
That's a good performance from him.
United Autosports car, it certainly is. So a lot of bronze drivers as now Giorgio Roda's name flashes across the line, because that's another improvement. He was already top, and he's now gone 0.8 of a second faster than Rodrigo Sales, a 1:32.9. Perrodo's lap is clean, and he goes second. Yep. And he's not been pinged for track limits on this occasion. So a really good sector 1 and sector 2. Not as quick as he's gone through sector 3, but bolting it all together results in a front row provisionally. But Rodrigo Sales, you get the feeling, has still got a bit more to give.
Yeah, Sales is going to be very unhappy after this session, and we've seen a message flash up that the behaviour of car 3, Andres Latour, under investigation for possible impeding, and I think that's what you're going to hear from Rodrigo Sales.
He had some stories to tell me yesterday about various cars maybe just not being as quick as he thought they might be, and then having to just adapt and to drive around, because there's limited space around this Portimão circuit. It's very much a momentum track as well, and when you come to the race, it is about trying to think several moves ahead, a bit like playing chess, just at a much higher speed.
Another great lap underway from Giorgio Roda, 2.5 minutes to go. He's up on his current pole time, looking to stretch the envelope again away from his tormentors. Across the line now. There is no improvement. He's 32 thousandths off. He's again done the top 3 laps, I think, in this session.
Yeah. So purple through sector 1, purple through sector 2, and not very far away in sector 3. He was about 1.5 off his best sector 3 time.
Beyond this top 4, by the way, they're the top 4 you'd expect to be contending here. Just a marker to say big improvement in qualifying performance from Daniel Schneider. He's just 1.8 seconds off the pole position time, but in that second group of drivers learning their trade in these cars, that's a big improvement for the Brazilian driver.
Certainly, yeah. Crichton Lendudis finds his best lap of the session so far, 1:36.1. That elevates him to 7th. As What else is likely to happen? There was a switch there. Sales over the line and goes second to jump ahead of Francois Perrodo. But he's also circulating. Well, Sales maybe picked up a toe there from Andres Latour. And he was saying that sometimes Latour was hampering the progress of Sales. Well, I just wonder whether he used the DKR car to his advantage there and got the toe down the long straight.
I think that's it done for Rodrigo Sales. I think he knows there's no more left. So he's lifted right off. We've got just a minute to go. He's not going to make it back around, I don't think, to start another lap. I'm just looking to see where potential improvements might come. LMP2, I'm sure he'd love to win the Battle of the Greek races. Georgios Kolovos, another good performance from him. He sits just ahead of the Algar Pro man in his Team Virage car. So Giorgio Roda pits from provisional pole position, 30 seconds to go in the session. He's 6/10 up in his Proton competition number 77 car from Rodrigo Sales in the Richard Mille by TDS car. Francois Perrodo 8/10 back from the pole position man in the AF Corse 83. John Falb exactly a second to the 1,000th back in the Nielsen Racing 24. That's your top two rows. I think it's going to stay that way. United Autosports 21 car, the hands of Daniel Schneider, 5th, and of Georgios Kolovos. Checkered flag is out. It is an improvement, by the way, from LMP2, but not troubled yet the time of Georgios Kolovos. And then finally, and the first man to take the checkered flag, DKR Engineering's Andres Latour. He's 8th in the session.
Sales to the pits. Front row start very likely for car 29. Richard Mille by TDS. They were winners in their category last time out. You might remember as well. Francois Perrodo in the 83 AF Corsa Orica. Still circulating, but this lap's not going to count either after the track limits breach in sector 1. So he will just slowly tour his way back to pit lane, and that's pretty much all she wrote. But it was a dramatic session at times with 4 or maybe 5 cars circulating, and every time they crossed the line the name at the top changed until Giorgio Roda eventually established himself as the quickest car. He's done that for most of the season, and that is not a clean sweep like Malte Jakobsen was able to do in LMP3 a couple of seasons ago, but 5 from 6 is a terrific statistic from Giorgio Roda, and he stands now on the side pod of his trusty 77 Orica with that almost tyre print livery that extends over the nose and onto the roof as well. And Roda has put his team of René Binder and Ben Viscal in the best possible spot for tomorrow's 6th and final European Le Mans Series race of the season. An embrace from dad and uncle there as well. The Rodas are a huge racing family of Italy, and Giorgio doing the business, living up to the reputation that they have continued to cement over the last few years.
So that's the first 8 of our LMP2 cars, the Pro-Am classification for the bronze crewed cars. Proton competition in the hands of Giorgio Roda. 132.919 takes pole position from an excellent effort from the Richard Mille by TDS 29 car in the hands of Rodrigo Sales. And then a good qualifying 2 from Francois Perrodo in the 83 car, 0.798 of a second involved there. Nielsen Racing round out the top 4, and the second row in the hands of John Falb, a second off.
Doing the business again, Giorgio Roda. Great shot that as he sits on the nose of the car as well. And he'll be eager to chat to Jeff Carter and others in the post-session press conference in a moment or two.
Do you like LMP2 cars, Johnny?
You know, you've asked me this question before, and I think you know the answer.
The answer's yes. Then great news is another 14 to take to the track. But before we go to the LMP2 session, let's go down to Steph, who's in pit lane.
I am joined by Giorgio Roda. He's got a massive smile on his face. Driver of the number 77 Proton competition. That's 5 out of 6 pole positions this season. Incredible statistic.
Yeah, it's. I'm really happy, honestly. This one was tough. The competition, as every race, is really higher, and also the fact that there is a point for the pole position, and we're already still in the championship lead. So it's a point. We need something big to happen in the race. I hope it happens, so we can try to win the championship. Because we only need to win the race, and starting P1, it's already a good point to start. And the car today was really good, and I didn't expect the lap time I did. So I'm really happy for that.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, huge smiles as usual, and coming here in 4th position in the championship, trying to hunt down Francois Peroda's car number 83 and the Sales car number 29 and the 20. It's tight at the top. More difficult for Proton competition to take the championship, but as he says, adding a point to the 69 they've already got takes them to 70. 86 minus 25 now is still within grasp, and then they've got to win the race, he reckons. Well, win the race and hope that everybody else has a pretty terrible one.
So 14 cars now to contest the overall pole position. 14 of these Orica 07s. Iron Lynx Proton winners last time out, it will be Matteo Caroli at the wheel of that car. The 10 from Vector Sport, Felipe Drugovic, Louis Delatraz in the wheel of the 14 AO by TF car. 22 and 23 for United Autosports, Ben Hanley and Paul Di Resta. Alex Lynn in the 25 Algarve Racing car. Nielsen Racing's 27, Will Stevens, Jean Van Utet, Edex Sports 28 car, and Duquesne Teams 30 with James Allen. 34 from Inter-Europol competition, Clement Novalak. Milton Jakobsen pilots the 37 from Cool Racing. 43 from Inter-Europol, Tom Dillman. Fred Vesti in the 47 from Cool Racing, and rounding out the field, the 65 Palace Racing car, Charles Milesi. We were doing a little bit of calculation over the last day or two to work out just exactly what level of quality this field has got in sports car terms. It's an extraordinary statistic that through the LMS field, there are 25 drivers that have raced or tested a hypercar to this point. There are 2 more that will do so in the very near future, plus 7 that have raced LMP1 cars in the rather more distant past. That's an extraordinary proportion of the talent that's available here. Yeah,
and also shows the attraction of the European Le Mans Series to draw in that calibre of driver, often year on year. And the beauty, I suppose, of a 6-race championship is that you can generally find scope in your calendar and your commitment to come racing here at the European Le Mans Series. I think it's been made more important because of the influx of hypercar teams, and where do you go in years prior to that hypercar programme beginning? We've seen it many times from very many professional outfits.
There's another stat that's linked into this, is watch these cars getting up to speed. You're not missing fast lap times just yet, which is across those drivers we talked about. In the history so far from 2021 of hypercar and the IMSA version of that GTP, there is just one manufacturer that has ever competed where no driver in this field has driven their car, and that's Glickenhaus. Every other driver, every other manufacturer, whether it's as a privateer car or a factory car, has at least one driver racing here today that has driven one of their hypercar machines.
Yeah,
staggering.
And this is how he spends his weekend whilst he's not on air, folks.
But in some cases,
such a fun guy to be with.
In some cases, multiple drivers. You had in Nico Lapierre, who's here as a team principal for Cool Racing, and the fact that we did have Jules Gounon here earlier on the weekend. I think there's only 2 Alpine drivers this year that aren't here this weekend. Mick Schumacher and Paul-Loup Chatin. Paul-Loup's going to text me in a moment and go, I'm just down at the garage.
Well, yes.
I doubt Mick is, but there you go.
I think that's unlikely, but the door is always open to Mick Schumacher and others to join the ELMS party. Have we gone through the drivers? Yes, you have done
We
that,
did,
haven't you?
but
Yeah,
what we
fine.
can start to say is we are beginning to get some lap timers through. They're likely to improve, but Malte Jakobsen tops the times at the moment for the 37 Cool Racing car. EDEX Sports 28 car, Job van Uitert. Both those two men, plus now Ben Hanley in the 131s. So it's 131.553 at the moment for the young Dane, tops the times, but there are improvements coming in.
Cairoli over the line, not to go top, but does improve. He's gone 6th fastest for Iron Link's Proton. Winners last time out at Mugello at their home race. Paul Di Resta also finding a better time from his 2 previous efforts. So Di Resta's 4th in the 23 United Autosports car, and Ben Hanley slightly better than that, to 3rd in the sister car. He's only 24 thousandths of a second off Job van Uitert's effort in the EDEX Sport crew. So Jakobsen, Van Uitert and Hanley and Di Resta, but on an out lap, Alex Lynn. So we haven't yet seen what the number 25 Algarve Pro Racing car is capable of, and the same can be said for Fred Vesti now in the 47 Cool Racing car.
Fred Vesti, by the way, one of those 2 drivers, but in his case, very much rumoured to be in a hypercar next season. Richard de Geras, by the way, is the other man that hasn't yet driven but is about to drive a car. He's the nominee for the rookie test at Bahrain and will drive the championship-winning car from the WEC in that test the day after the WEC finale next month.
Job van Uitert went top very briefly, but that was immediately bettered by Malte Jakobsen. So they've exchanged positions and then back again. Jakobsen with a 131.1. Van Uitert's effort was a 131.4, but still good enough for 2nd fastest. And the next car due across the line is Charles Milesi, and this should see quite a bit of improvement for the 65 car. Hasn't got a time to its name yet, and that will take him 9th.
Still a way to go. He's some seconds off. That's not yet a serious crack at this. Interesting, there are different strategies in play here. It might be a short session, but not everybody is using their tyres in the same way. Cross the line, the 34 car, which is not, as our graphic says, Racing Team Turkey, but is into Europol competition. That might have been a few seasons ago.
Yeah.
Clement Novalak at the wheel. Another man, by the way, that will be at that rookie test. He's named today as one of 2 drivers that will drive the Peugeot hypercar.
Exciting times as the World Endurance Championship after Bahrain will enter almost a Formula 1 silly season, perhaps, with some rotation in seats.
There's surprises to come, I can tell you that. There's some moves to come that people might be expecting. There might be 1 or 2 that you might not be. There's all sorts of machinations. When you've got this many manufacturers involved in sports car racing at the moment, they're looking for talent. And they're looking for talent that can deliver. And the pressure on these drivers is immense.
Well, to get the job, get the opportunity first of all, but then to retain it and over several seasons, you've got to be the top of your game. Matteo Cairoli's riding the crest of a wave at this stage, having won last time out 3 weeks ago in Italy, and he's just gone 3rd. Charles Milesi to 2nd in the 65 car. So others around those cars that are improving are currently in the pit lane getting their 2nd set of tyres. But for Fred Vesti, that's not the best way to treat them. No. Big outbraking manoeuvre into turn 3.
Indeed. Charles Milesi, by the way, half a tenth off Malte Jakobsen's early session offering to 131.139 for the Dane, to 131.195 for the Frenchman. Close, 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 and 5.5 minutes to go.
Jakobsen on an out lap. Van Uitert on an out lap. Ben Hanley and Will Stevens rejoining the session as well with brand new Goodyear tyres, or if not brand new, then lightly scrubbed. All of these tyres used in qualifying will have to be recycled in the race, though, so you don't want to take all of the performance out of them. Goodyear producing a tyre which is good in the early stages of a qualifying session, but then can really be lent on in the race, something like a 40, or if you're double stinting, 120-minute encounter. Olivier Panis not too happy with Charles Milesi outbraking himself, although the sector times are very good.
3 tenths up on the provisional pole time So 2 purple sectors, but it was a big lock up there for Sean Malachy. What's that done? That came at the end of the second sector, by the way. What's that done to his overall pace? Well, we're about to see as he sweeps down through this epic last series of sweeping corners, tumbling down the hillside towards the finish. It's 3 purple sectors, it's 4 tenths up, and it's 1:30.727. A great lap from Sean Malachy.
Yeah, and we've come to expect that from the Frenchman. He is such a pleasant guy to have a quick conversation with in the paddock, but ultimately focused as well, and doing the business there for Panis Racing. 0.4 of a second clear of Malte Jakobsen. Jakobsen's not going to take that lying down, and he's now also got new tyres beneath him to take him through the final 4 minutes of the race. Joop van Uitert in 3rd position ahead of Matteo Cairoli, who's now pitted. A second pit stop for that car, though. No, he's back out again, so it's only 1 pit stop and a new set of tyres for car number 9 too.
Improvement from James Allen. He pops up to 5th in the Duquesne team car, but that's almost a second off. Louis Delatraz shuffles him down a spot because he's now 5th in the AO/TF car. He's 8 tenths off that offer. 4 tenths is the closest anybody is to that. That's Malte Jakobsen. He's not yet on a flyer, but has he got tyres underneath him for a last gasp at this? It wouldn't be the first time we've seen it in LMP2, that with what we think is an absolutely surefire, nailed-in pole position, then someone has us standing up and screaming.
How much do you take out of your race tyres is the big question. They will have identified the 4 tyres that will bring them to the finish of tomorrow's race, but you've got to probably double stint these quali tyres as well. Remember, an LMP2 car can do about 40 minutes, although this is medium speed stuff around quite a lot of this shortest track of the year, so might be able to eke that out by a few more minutes, but you're looking at, if it stays green, 6 stints, I reckon, and you've got to carry 3 sets of tyres over those 6 stints. Matteo Cairoli back into the session, as I've mentioned, but other improvements.
And multiple drivers on laps that are going to improve their times and positions, including Ben Hanley, Tom Dillman, Alex Lynn, Filipa Drugovic, he improves. Clement Novalak, he pops up now in 5th position. Who's next?
It should be Ben Hanley.
Delatraz.
22. Delatraz over the line.
Ben Hanley 3rd.
There you go.
Alex Lynn 4th. Joop van Uitert is 5th and improving. And he is the closest at the moment to pole position pace right now. What about Malte Jakobsen? A couple of slow laps from Jakobsen. What is he doing there? Just getting the heat into the tyres. The next lap, the first sector rather, not an offer that's going to trouble pole position at the moment. We've got a minute and 45 seconds to go, and a big hold there from Joop van Uitert, 5th fastest, but that's going to, they've taken 10ths out of that lap time.
Yeah, down the hill, we've seen that mistake a few times, not from Joop, just from all sorts of people, because it's so easy to do when you're on the ragged edge through 10 and
Epic
11.
hold. Watch
a
this.
view from the other point of view. And then he just disappeared off the edge of the cliff, never to be seen again. But that was 45 degrees to the ideal angle of travel and a bit more. So running too deep into the corner, catching the curb where there's no grip because it's rippled, and that's what can happen. But yeah, terrific car control to avoid the gravel entirely. Fred Vesti's now into the top 10 for Cool Racing, up to 9th spot. He set that time a little while ago, 1:31.9. And since then, I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or even 8 cars that have all gone quicker.
Yeah, 11 of these 14 cars inside a single 12 now inside a single second. It's Malachy, Jakobsen, Hanley, Lynn, van Uitert, Delatraz, Cairoli, Novalak, Dillman, Vesti, Drugovic, Allen, Will Stevens and Paul Di Resta. 1.18 seconds separates all 14. Quiet word between Olivier Panis and others within the Panis Racing team. 18 seconds to go. And Charles Malachy, if he plays his cards right, might even get another stab at this, but has he got the tyre performance beneath him? 9 seconds to go on the clock. He should get to the line. No, maybe not. Nip and tuck. Checker flag's going to come out now. And he did make it.
but has he got any tyres left, and does he want to punish them anymore? Because everybody else is going to be locked in, so they're going to be straight on the radio now to say, Charles, you can probably back out of this because nobody is threatening your time.
I'm not
certainly not to take 4/10 out of it.
I'm not sure anybody's got an answer to this time at this point. I think the timing of him pushing those tyres to the max was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, just looking down the order. Well, Will Stevens leaves it late to go third for Nielsen Racing, but he was never going to threaten the Milesi time. Jakobsen's crossed the line. He improved as well, was already second, but he's got the time down to 1:31.1.
Yellow flags at turn 1. Not sure what that's about. Yellow removed. I think that might have been Jakobsen. I think he's been off. But that's...
on the cooling down lap, maybe.
Indeed.
Not cooling down at all.
Alex Lynn improves. Jon Vanuta has improved. And we've now got 13 of the 14 cars. All of the cars are within a single second. 0.988 of a second is the gap between the entire field. But that was pretty much a masterclass from Charles Milesi, from TDS Racing, who look after this Panis Racing effort. Olivier Panis utterly delighted with that.
But yes, that is quite phenomenal to look from first to 14th, and the gap from that quickest time doesn't go any more than a second. It's 0 point something. 0.3 to Jakobsen, 0.4 to Stevens, Lynn, and then 0.6 to Ben Hanley. So half a second the top 4, but a full second contain all 14 cars.
Well, I mean, this is the mark of the performance of this young man this afternoon. The rest of the field are separated by 6/10.
Yes.
30% of the gap between the field is in that one lap.
Yeah. So when you've got everybody concentrated in a very small area, to then be clear of that field by almost 4/10 of a second is so impressive from Charles Milesi. The question is, can they translate that into the ideal result tomorrow? Arthur Leclerc and Manuel Maldonado are the other drivers in car 65 for their silver-gold combination.
And if my French journalistic colleagues are to be believed, and I do believe them, because they're good guys, Arthur Leclerc will be testing a Ferrari hypercar at Bahrain. Now, what might that mean for the future? Could we see him and his famous brother aboard a car together? Wouldn't that be something special?
At Le Mans, Panis Racing with a pole position, I think the second of their season, I'll check that in a moment, from Cool Racing's number 37, Malte Jakobsen, but the gap almost 4/10 of a second, and then the gaps are tiny. 65 thousandths of a second back to Will Stevens, 32 to Alex Lynn, and as Ben Hanley comes into the pits, he'll be starting the race tomorrow from 5th place, number 22, United Autosports. Then Joop van Uitert for EDEC, Louis Delatraz for AO by TF. They're the championship leaders, remember, but Delatraz kind of very much midfield in that session, starting 7th tomorrow. Matteo Cairoli, winners last time out in Mugello, ahead of Clement Novalak. And Tom Dillman also in championship contention for the European Le Mans Series in 2024. So a frantic session, and it's all about the 65 car. Let's head to Steph Wentworth.
And finally, last but not least, I'm joined by Manuel Maldonado, the co-driver of the number 65 Panis Racing. Congratulations, another pole position, which is brilliant in your fight for the championship this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy. Charles has been doing an amazing job, not just this weekend, but throughout the year. And I think the whole team as well. And that's one more point in the championship. Now we're 14 points. And I'll get to have the best seat in the house tomorrow. So I'm quite happy with that. I think we just need to do a clean race, because we have a really strong car and the whole weekend has been really strong for us. So yeah, head down and let's move forward, and we'll be in the hunt for the championship. So yes, nothing less but that for tomorrow.
All right, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
My memory was not deceiving me. Charles Milesi, a pole position already at Imola 3 races ago.
That was another cracking performance by him. It would be a first championship win for Panis Racing in a long European Le Mans Series history. It could be a second championship win in a week for Inter Europol on both sides of the Atlantic, and a unique performance from them. Or it could be AO by TF, and AO, another race team that took a championship in IMSA last weekend. So which of those two might it be? TF Sport, of course, have already had championship winning performances. Quite a day today. This sets up what is going to be a very special Saturday with the season finales in both the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the European Le Mans Series, Johnny.
Yeah, so morning race for your diary is a 10:30 start for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and therefore we're on air 20 minutes before that, 10 past 10 for a 10:30 start, and that's an hour and 50-minute race. Then we take a pause for lunch. Come on, we've got to eat. And then we're on air at 10 past 2 for a 2:30 start, the European Le Mans Series finale. Thanks to Steph Wentworth, to Graham Goodwin, from Johnny Palmer, signing off. We'll see you Saturday.